It's 6 a.m. on the East Coast. It's Sunday, February 6th, and this is Fox and Friends Weekend. We begin with a Fox News alert, a major development in the desperate search for Nancy Guthrie as her children have released a new video begging for her return.
The 84-year-old has now been missing for a full week, and her family is begging for answers, sending this chilling plea to their mother's abductors just last night.
We received your message, and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
Police returning to Annie Guthrie's home last night, where they appeared to be taking photographs in the garage, but still haven't been able to give the public many details. Releasing a new statement saying, quote, at this time, investigators have not identified any suspects, persons of interest, or vehicles connected to this case.
This all comes ahead of the second reported ransom deadline, which is apparently set for tomorrow evening.
For the latest on the ground, we go to Alicia Cunha, who is live right outside of Nancy Guthrie's home in Tucson, Arizona. Alicia.
Good morning. In the hours after Savannah Guthrie and her siblings released that video, we saw a significant amount of activity outside of her sister's and inside of her sister Annie's home. Our Fox News Digital reports at least 4 investigators from the Pima County Sheriff's Department arrived at the house that's located about 4 miles from Nancy's place. At about 8 o'clock last night, they went inside, and our team saw what appeared to be flashes coming from a camera inside the garage and then again in another part of the house. They spent about 2.5 hours there. When they arrived, a deputy was carrying a white case of some sort. That case came back out with them, in addition to what looked like a brown paper bag. One of the Pima County deputies was wearing latex gloves as they were leaving the home. It did not appear that any family members were at the house at the time. Adding to this, officers arrived at the Sheriff's Department in the afternoon on Saturday, carrying what appeared to be a large printout of a map, some sort of blueprint, and Fox Digital spoke with an employee at a Circle K here in Tucson who says federal and local agents reviewed a surveillance video from that gas station. The employee telling Fox they just showed up, asked to see camera footage, and an employee saying that it was related to, quote, some guy. The FBI has now placed digital billboards in nearby states with Nancy Guthrie's photo, her height, weight, and age. This one is in Albuquerque. The tip line is on there as well. The FBI is offering a $50,000 reward in the case. Now, last night around 7 p.m., guys, 2 sheriff's deputies also showed up here at Nancy Guthrie's house. It is unclear exactly why. The Sheriff's Department, as you mentioned, has put out a statement saying that they are aware of the newest video. They are not holding any news conferences, and Sheriff Chris Nanos isn't planning any one-on-ones. Back to you.
Yeah, that's right. No press conference coming. We did see the sheriff at a basketball game. We'll talk about that later. But let me ask you, you said that the deputies came back, Alicia, to Nancy's home. We saw in the last 24 hours, we saw, the searches sort of in the brush in the area around that. Have we seen any more of that, or has it really just been focused on just the homes?
Mm-hmm. We have not seen it. I have not seen it myself, and we haven't heard from our crews. We've seen the deputies come up, drive up, and go into the property area. But it sounds like you're referring to what we saw, I believe it was on Friday, when they were out with flashlights out in the brush and searching the area. We haven't seen any more of that. The most amount of activity we've seen in the last 24 hours was at Annie Guthrie's house.
And then if I could just follow up, and forgive me if we know this, but do we have any more information on that Circle K gas station surveillance video? They were looking at a vehicle that was perhaps of interest.
We know, so it's interesting when you bring up that vehicle of interest, because initially NBC was reporting that there was a vehicle of interest possibly that they were looking at, and it was related to the Circle K, possibly the surveillance video. The Sheriff's Department later came back and said that they didn't have a vehicle of interest. So those are in conflict because NBC had sources related to law enforcement. So we have that part. All we know, we've seen that video of the officers going in. You have to imagine, Griff, though, that there are a lot of businesses on that street. That was on Oracle. And so you're going to have a lot of surveillance video. So the question is, were they trying to match up whatever they saw at this Circle K video, if they saw anything at all from their surveillance video, and then went to other businesses along the street and followed a path?
Is there any more intel on the vehicle that was towed away from Nancy Guthrie's home yesterday?
So, Charlie, that would be the blue Subaru that had been seen in the days prior to it being towed away. It was inside of her garage. Nothing had happened there. Investigators had been spending time inside that garage while the Subaru was there, and then eventually they towed it away. We have not been able to gather any more information on what they're doing, but you have to imagine that it's being processed for evidence, and the forensics teams here, who are excellent, especially with the FBI, are working on that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Alicia Cunha, great stuff. We're going to be checking in with you all morning long. Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you.
So let's break down, we have seen this grieving family, and it has now been over a week that Nancy, an 84-year-old woman with medical conditions, was taken from this home. We've seen 3 messages. The first one came from Savannah Guthrie, where she appealed to her mother's abductors. That was on February 4th. It was about 4 minutes long. You saw all of the Guthrie siblings sitting there, and they were trying to, really drive home, this is a grandmother. She's a human. She's kind. Then we, of course, saw the short message from Cameron, who spoke, trying to reach the abductors. And then, of course, last night, the message from Savannah saying that they would agree to pay, and they wanted to celebrate their grandmother. That's really all we have so far. So let's bring in Greg Yovane, former NYPD senior hostage negotiator. Greg, thank you for being here. Break down for us, particularly how you read that last message.
Well, I don't want to, I hope she's okay.
Of course.
Okay.
Right.
I don't know why these hostage takers have not given her proof that her mother's
Proof of life.
okay, all right? Because they've been asking for that for a while. What's the big deal? Just somehow send a picture, grandmother's maiden name, something like that only she would know.
Right.
Why don't they do that? It raises my level of suspicion that there's something else going on here.
That she's not alive?
It could be,
So one of the things I noticed, first of all, it's interesting when we laid out on the screen there just how the family's messages have changed, and we know that the FBI and investigators are helping them craft these messages in order to create connection and contact with the abductors. There's a word inside of the most recent message, the one from last night, that I found really interesting, the word celebrate. It just was jarring to hear that word in this in the context of everything else in this very short message. What does that word tell you? Because I feel like every word is being selected very deliberately.
I don't know if you and I would have used that word.
Yeah.
Okay? I would have probably said something like, I can't wait, to have her back, to be with her again. I don't know if she knows more than we know for some reason. I don't know.
What did it tell you when they used that word? What was your thought?
My thought was they're dealing with this for a while, and they're trying to be nice about it, and they want to be with her.
Yeah.
Just to have her back.
So, it's really interesting because it does suggest that that word was used in a way to send some sort of special signal to the abductors. But in the range of things that we don't know that they're dealing with, is one of them that maybe we haven't actually been in contact with the actual abductors? That maybe that what we've heard from so far is not actually the abductors?
See, that's a problem. And hostage negotiations we always have a location.
Yeah,
I know they're in that building,
Right.
and we're going to talk them out. And if we can't talk them out after a period of time, I'm going to say to the hostage takers, we're going to send my tactical team in. You want to do things the easy way, or you want to do things the hard way? We're going to go in, and we're going to get you out.
But we don't know where they're at.
We don't know where they're at. And they're holding the cards in their hands, okay? We don't know where they are.
Could this be that they're a more sophisticated group than we think? I mean, so I think about a hostage taker in a building. This is somebody maybe who, who's just one person. Could this be a network of people? They're asking for, Bitcoin. I don't know. I'm just trying to.
Well, look, the technology today that's going on is hindering investigations because it's so advanced, and it's making it difficult. Look at the way their emails. You can't track them right now. Okay. In the old days, you would deliver money. Now, a push of a button, and they got this Bitcoin stuff.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. It's a little too easy. All right. And I'm sure that these people, followed her for a while and got her routine.
Right.
So, Greg,
Okay.
let me ask you this. So as I kind of look at those messages, in the first one, we saw Savannah really pushing for, we're ready to talk. We want proof of life, right?
Right.
This last message, and Rachel's so right, celebrate really stands out in that. But setting that aside, that message last night sort of said to me, we're ready to pay now. We're ready, like no questions asked, no nothing. We're just going to pay. Give her to us.
Well, they didn't pay yet. They're ready to pay. Okay.
And that's your point. They don't have a location to send it to.
Which is good right now. These people, when they took her, they're responsible for her safety. Okay. If something happened to her, if she's not around anymore, we're going to be going into a different investigation, a homicide investigation now. Okay.
Are you struck by the fact that no one has seen, publicly anyway, has made that point to them? That it's one thing to abduct somebody, and that's a horrible thing to do, but if something happens to her, this gets raised to a whole different level.
A whole different level. And I'm sure they're watching because they watch the news. Okay. They feel pretty confident, I guess, wherever they are. I mean, look, if they get money, how are they going to give her back?
Right.
Are they going to say, well, go to this location and go get her?
Or they could leave.
They're going to be gone. When they say that, they're going to be long gone.
Yeah.
But then there will be a location, and that'll be turned over.
Yeah.
Well, there'll be a location where she would be.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
And then that scene is a crime scene.
Yeah. Exactly.
And you're going to search that thing for evidence.
Greg Yovane, we're running out of time, but appreciate your expertise, and we're glad to have you here on the couch.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
You got it.
Okay.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.